Are you ready to take your baking to the next level?
Well, today on WTF, we're going to look at all of our leavening agents and how to make a sourdough, a no-knead bread, and a banana bread. Hello and welcome to WTF, where we transform food here in the Modernist Pantry Test Kitchen. I'm Chef Scott Guerin.
And I'm Janie Wang, one of the owners of Modernist Pantry. And here on WTF, every week we cover unique ingredients and techniques and show you cool new recipes in which to use them. So if you like what you see, remember subscribe, ring the bell, do whatever you have to do, and you'll get notified of our content. It comes out every single Tuesday. And this week, as you can see, we're going to be covering baking and in particular leavening agents. So whether you've been baking for just a little while or maybe you've been doing it for years, it's always fun to discover new ingredients and ways to make your baking better. And because we have so many ingredients here today, Scott, I was thinking maybe what you can do is maybe cover the recipes and basically how each ingredient like rolls into them and then like what they do, because otherwise, you know, we'll be here just talking about ingredients for an hour.
Sure, so actually let's start with the demo.
Okay.
Get it underway because there's a little bit that goes into this, and the ingredient that we use in a quick bread would be something like a baking soda or baking powder, but what we have is our perfect baking powder, and the reason why we use that is that it adds an extra boost to the baking soda or baking powder that you use, so it's late acting. And what it is as it starts to heat, usually at the beginning, all of the baking powder or baking soda would be like used off.
Yeah.
And then this is late acting, so it gives an extra little rise at the end. So if you're doing something really dense like a banana bread, it can add this a little bit extra rise to make a nice airier texture and just a better overall product.
Yeah. And I think originally we had made this I'm Free Perfect Baking Powder.
Yes.
It's a mouthful. For gluten-free baking in particular, because it was able to make gluten-free breads fluffier, but then we kind of just found that it works great in like all kinds of breads and stuff.
It absolutely works great in all sorts of breads. It works really well for gluten-free breads because, you know, the yeast, even if you're using like a yeast in a gluten-free bread, it'll only do so much and you just need that extra little boost at the end. But we found it works great for pizza crust, for any quick doughs, really anything you want to add it to, it's going to work really well just to add a little bit extra lift at the end during the baking process. So you won't see it while you're mixing or anything, but during the baking process, you're really going to notice a difference. So let's get into the demo. Right here, I have my sugar and butter already creamed. We don't need to really see that step prior to. And what I'm going to do is this is a really nice method to make banana breads because we took green bananas. So these are actually green bananas and we treated it with a little bit of amylase and Pectinex. Now Pectinex breaks down all those fibers and releases the liquid, but in green bananas, you know, they're a little starchy and the sugars aren't fully developed. Usually with banana bread, you have to wait for them to turn black. It could take 2 weeks for them to really get to the point where you want to make banana bread, but who really wants to wait 2 weeks to make banana bread? So what this allows is the amylase then takes those starches, eats them up, and turns them into sugar, so you're able to have green bananas in about 2.5 hours that are broken down completely. All the sugars are converted over, and then you're able to have these. And you can just do this in a zip top bag at home. I just did it in a vacuum seal bag so I could store them for a little bit. So it's really simple. And Janie, actually, if you want to just take these and just squish them up, and you can kind of see right in the bag, you can just squish them up. Right?
Fun. It's a hands-on demo date for me.
So you can see that they're completely soft. There's no hard bits or anything. And one thing that I noticed with the Pectinex is that usually in banana bread, you'll get these kind of like dark, like brown veins through all your banana bread. And if you make it with Pectinex, it breaks those down. So you get a really kind of clean presentation. So I have my creamed sugar and butter, and I'm going to add in my eggs. So I'm just going to get this on low, and I'm just going to add in my eggs here. And once those are mixed completely in, I'm going to add my dry ingredients and my wet ingredients. So my first dry ingredient here is AP flour. And then we have some banana powder. So we have banana powder just kind of fortify the flavor. And also a little bit of rum went into this. So all the liquid you're getting is just a little bit of rum and mostly bananas and banana juice. But we have banana powder to kind of boost that banana flavor. Then we have a little bit of salt. We have our baking soda, which has that initial lift. Even during the mixing process, it's going to activate, but we need that late acting I'm Free Perfect Baking Powder to really help in the end. So I'm just going to mix that up gently. And then we're going to add some in. And I just do about half of my dry ingredients. And then I'm going to add half of my wet ingredients. So it's really easy. You don't have to blend these up in a blender. You don't have to do anything other than just, squish them with your hands.
Cool.
So once that gets mixed in there, I can add the rest of my dry ingredients. This is only about 10 seconds each. So 10 seconds for the first batch of dry, 10 seconds for the first batch of wet, 10 seconds for the second batch of dry, and then just finish it with the wet. And one thing you want to do is once this gets added and it just comes together, you stop.
Okay.
You don't want to overwork that gluten. We'll talk a lot about that in the later breads. Is you don't want to overwork that gluten. The more you work that flour, the longer the gluten strands are going to be, and the chewier the bread is going to become.
Okay.
And chewy banana bread is not really pleasant banana bread. So I'm going to add in the rest of my wet ingredients, my bananas. And then I'm just going to mix this up until it just barely comes together.
Okay.
So once this is mixed, about 10 seconds, it should be good. You can smell that banana flavor. Obviously, everyone who's watching can't smell it.
Yes,
but you can smell it.
We can smell it. It's so good.
But you can see it's nice. It's come together. It's a firm dough, and you can see just that it's a little bit aerated. That's the baking soda working. So once you start cooking that baking soda is going to be completely used up. And then that baking powder, the perfect baking powder, is going to activate and give a nice lift to the bread. And you can see it here. It's completely, cooked all the way through. And one thing you'll notice a lot with banana breads is that you get like a really dense kind of layer on the bottom.
Yeah.
And usually that's too much moisture. That's adding too much bananas, too much water, whatever your liquid is, and not getting enough lift. So this really prevents that thick, dense layer on the bottom, and it creates a really nice, even loaf. So that's the banana bread. And Janie, if you want to try, I got a little sample for you.
I love banana bread.
And I talked a lot about the gluten strands.
Really good.
Right? So we're going to get into our next two types of bread, which we have a sourdough here, and we have our no-knead bread. So the no-knead bread is really cool is that you can take flour, and generally with breads, you got to mix them up with a dough hook for, sometimes 30 minutes, depending on the type of bread you're making, to really kind of elongate those gluten strands. But with no-knead bread, you add in the moisture, you mix it up with a spatula, and it's going to look really rough. It's going to look, dry patches, wet patches, but you take it, you cover it, and you set it on the counter, and after about 18 hours, that gluten is going to pull in that moisture, and it's going to elongate on its own. So there's two ways to kind of grow gluten strands or strengthen gluten strands, and it's a lot of mixing or a lot of time. So with the no-knead bread, we just give it a lot of time, and after the no-knead bread has reached about 18 hours, you can literally take it, form it into a loaf, proof it once more, and then bake it. So it's really cool is that it doesn't take a lot of work. You don't need a mixer at home, but you do need yeast. Because without yeast, this type of bread does not work. And we have two types of yeast here. We have Instaferm Red and Instaferm Gold. And we had covered these in a different episode, the Instaferm episode, links in the description below. But Instaferm Red and Instaferm Gold do two different things. So Instaferm Red is for very lean doughs. By lean, I mean doughs that don't have a lot of sugar. If you don't have a lot of sugar, Instaferm Red is going to be perfect for you. But if you're making something sweet, let's say, Portuguese sweetbread, something like that, that has a lot of sugar content to it, you're going to want to use gold. And it's kind of easy to remember. Honey uses a gold color, so I know to use gold when I'm doing something that is sweet. And the reason we want to do that is it's an osmotolerant yeast. And that means it can withstand all that sugar content, whereas Instaferm Red, if it's too sweet, it'll just hinder. It'll still work. It'll just hinder the proofing ability of the yeast. And if the sugar gets too high, it can potentially kill the yeast. So you want to use the gold with sweet. But if you wanted to use the gold for lean doughs, it absolutely could do lean doughs too. So gold's a little bit more versatile. But if you're just making strictly lean doughs, use the red.
Yeah, and just like real quick, because we're getting a lot of questions on this, what's the difference between an Instaferm and the type of yeast you get in the grocery, the active dry?
So this is instant yeast. This is really cool because you don't have to put it in water and bloom it before you start your bread making process. You can take this and mix it directly into the dry ingredients in a bread dough and go about the recipe as normal. You don't have to worry about, oh, does my water have to be a certain temperature? It's going to work because it's instant yeast. And one other thing that is a common question is people will get this and there's no instructions on it. Well, that's totally fine. I mean, if you have a recipe that asks for 1 packet of yeast, which is really common, 2 1/4 teaspoons of this yeast will equal 1 of those packets. That's exactly how much is in 1 of those packets.
Yep.
So you're not, changing up the yeast. It's literally just adding this in where that was. And obviously you get a lot more in this package than those little packets.
Oh yeah, of course. You can make like almost 100
yeah,
loaves,
about 100 loaves
in one of these.
Yeah,
so.
if you're just using that. But if you wanted to take some of that yeast, or if you want to use something like Floridan, which is another ingredient that we have, Floridan's really cool is that you can kind of get a quick sourdough.
Okay.
So one thing I like to do is if I make a sourdough starter, there's 2 ways to do it. You can just do it with like citric acid and sugar and water, but if I use Floridan, that starter the next day can be used to make a sourdough loaf that tastes like a French baguette.
Okay.
So it has a specific yeast and bacteria that is found in France that makes French baguettes.
Okay.
So that's what I made this starter out of here. So this is just flour, water, and a little bit of Floridan, and every day I'll feed it more and more. Now, if you keep feeding it over the next few days, it's going to pull in the natural yeast and bacteria from the air, and it'll become very localized to us. So it'll have our yeast and bacteria. But within a day of making it, you can use it to have your bread taste like a traditional French baguette. And that's what we did with our sourdough here, is that it has a very French kind of bread flavor.
Okay.
So everywhere you go in the world will have slightly different yeast and bacteria. So like San Francisco sourdough is going to taste much different than France, and much different than Maine, where we are. So if you wanted to have one that tastes like a French baguette, use the Floridan, but then you can continue to feed it and it'll become localized to you.
Yeah, and I know that when we did the sourdough, you had a little hack that I thought was really smart to kind of give it more of that sour flavor. What was that again?
So yeah, with the sourdough is sometimes if you're really feeding your starter, let's say you feed it 5 hours before, all of that flour in there is not going to be completely digested, and it's not going to be as sweet. So if you want to make it consistent throughout, you're going to add lactic acid. And lactic acid is the same acid that is produced when you're making a starter. So it's just going to kind of fortify that sour flavor, where every loaf is going to be consistent when you do that in the sourness department. So you just make sure you add in that lactic acid to a sourdough. It can be added at any time, dry, wet, doesn't matter. It's not going to affect the yeast, which is really nice.
Yeah, so I think it's really fun that we're kind of like showing new and kind of like slightly different ways to kind of improve upon existing recipes. If you do want to try any of those, the links are as always in the description below, and I do believe we've done in-depth WTFs on each of these ingredients. So if you do want to learn more about any of them, the links will be also in the description below. And what was our Instagram video on this week?
So we did an Instagram video on the banana bread.
Okay, cool.
So we showed you this process here, but we're going to show you the whole baking process and how to get it out, and how it looks in the oven and things like that.
So that'll be really fun. And as always, if you have any questions about any of these ingredients, about the recipes, or you've tried it, loved it, leave it in the comments below. We do like hearing from you. Tag us on social media, especially if you're using like baking stuff, because it's super fun. So we look forward to hearing from you. And from here in the Modernist Pantry Test Kitchen, I'm Janie Wang.
And I'm Scott Garrett. Thank you so much for watching. And if you haven't already, like, comment, and subscribe. And hit that bell so you get notified when we drop a new video.
To get today's recipes and all of our recipes, remember to go to blog.modernistpantry.com. where you get recipes, ask a chefs, tips and tricks, and more.
And if you haven't already, tell a friend so they know what's going on here at WTF.
And as always, to get any of the ingredients you saw today, you can go to modernistpantry.com to shop.
And until next time, we'll be here in the test kitchen helping you create memorable and magical experiences.